Welcome to the Golden Bachelor recap with Jamie and Stephanie from the Ugly Truth podcast. All right, so episode 4 has aired.
Yep.
So here's the deal. There's very little drama, but the drama that's been going on has been thanks to Kathy.
Well, it was like old lady drama. And she looked like a fool.
Not only that, but Kathy, she looked very elderly to me.
She looked haggard.
And she had fillers and Botox and her hair was nice. Her makeup was good. But for some reason, there was something about her that just screamed geriatric. I don't know why.
Well, and sometimes,
honestly, I think it's because she was exhausted.
I think she was exhausted. Yeah. And honestly, I am a firm believer after watching this show that a lot of the way you are perceived is your personality.
Yes.
So when you act old, you look old.
I think you're right.
Because I can't tell you how many times people have been shocked to find out how old I am.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not old, okay?
No, I know.
But I mean, when you work in a place where there's 20s, 30s, every era, and you're talking to somebody who's in their 20s and they find out that you're 50 and they're like, "Oh my God, like I had no idea you were 50." To them, I'm fucking ancient.
Right.
So I think a lot of it has to do with the way you act.
I'm looking at Kathy's profile photo in the grid of women that were participating in the Golden Bachelor, and she photographs really well. Everything's lovely. And then she speaks.
I know.
And then she does things like her trying to dictate everybody's discussions about their connections with Gary.
Right.
Is so out of line.
It was.
Like, you don't get
I'm like,
to
wait
do
a minute.
that.
I'm like, lady, you're on the Golden Bachelor. What else are you supposed to talk
so
about?
what, we're all going to just sit around and be silent deaf mutes during this show?
Well, that's the only thing that is unique about this particular group of women for the Bachelor series is that because they're so much older, there's not a lot of cattiness. There's not a lot of the usual bullshit that they have on the other shows.
We were not me, but I was talking about this with Daryl, and I was like, here's the difference between the OG Bachelor, Bachelorette, and the participants of the Golden Bachelor, who they're all over the age of 60. Mm-hmm. Most of these, I would say the majority of these women have no interest in being influencers or being in the entertainment industry. Right. They don't have any interest in creating a followership on Instagram.
Right.
Excuse me, or TikTok or whatever, where when you're 22 to 28, you're in the prime hotness of life. Agreed. And you want Lulu's and Vici and all of these cool brands to put you in their stuff and you're going to make money.
Right.
So you need to stay on the show as long as humanly possible.
So that people remember you.
So they can remember you. They can see your personality. Yeah. They can see how beautiful you look in 8 formal dresses.
Right.
All the things.
Totally.
How sexy you are. And yet these women... And this is a real issue that we are going to talk about today. These women are tapping out. They're like, I don't like you, Gary. I'm out. They leave.
Somebody was arguing.
Just leave.
I got into it on Facebook the other day about the woman who left because her daughter had the baby. Joan, okay?
Everybody loves Joan. I'm like, Joan is 60 years old. She is not interested in him.
But these people are vehemently defending the fact that she legitimately left because of her daughter. And
it's a lie.
I'm like, people.
She did not leave because of her daughter.
And I'm saying that online and they're attacking me like, you just don't know. As a mother, I would go too. I'm like, shut the fuck. All right. You know what? I'm not going to do this because it's such a waste of energy to do online arguing. But
I agree.
But whatever, completely. You know, there has to be those people who believe the storylines that they feed you.
So, Stephanie, this is another thing that's really come out is a lot of these the viewership is older. It's skewing older.
Well, mission accomplished. ABC, right?
That was the whole point. Apparently, they're just like Joan and Gary would have made a beautiful couple. And I'm like, Joan was 60 and she saw a 72-year-old man.
She's like,
who lives in Indiana and doesn't want to do any of it. Not to mention her husband just died 2 years ago.
And by the way,
what was she doing? So you know what she's doing? She has a TikTok account and she's making chicken soup.
She is.
That is her thing. She got her notoriety. She's creating a presence for herself. She's a beautiful lady.
She is beautiful. Yeah.
And she has apparently a daughter and a grandchild that she's excited about. So she's the one woman who went on this show going,
content.
I can make something with this.
Yeah.
And she's beautiful and young.
She is.
Good for her.
Good for her.
And Gary whatever. He don't care.
And here's the thing about Gary. We are all seeing him in the best possible light that we can see him in.
Clothes, spray tan, all the things.
Yes. But when you're face to face with someone, even when you're filming, you see what you really look like.
And it's like, at the end of the day, they're all looking and going, I have to see this man naked eventually.
Thank you.
And now he's wealthy, he's successful, he's retired, all the things.
He's handsome.
He's very attractive.
He's charming. He's all.
Stephanie, I'm ready for this man to start being horny and acting like
I don't know if it's ever going to happen.
A man.
I'm ready for him to stop crying.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Stop.
I saw the previews for the.
Stop it.
He's like, I can't take this anymore.
It's not worth it. I'm like,
is this what women over 60 want out of a man? I mean, I'm not saying I want a macho man, but
No.
at some point, if you are in your 70s, most people in their 70s have some confidence and some, life is not
and
so serious.
He does. But here's the problem that I'm having. I think that
he's trying so hard to cater to these women. And I'm like, can we stop with it, please?
Yeah, that too. But the other thing is when you have been married, when you have a life partner and you're not one of those people who's been married and divorced 2 or 3 times, and then some of these people had life partners.
Yes.
Partners that legitimately they were with till the end of their lives. And
Absolutely.
unfortunately it was the other person that died first. So I don't think there's ever going to be anyone that is going to be able to repair that grief or that loss.
Right.
No matter what.
Well, no.
So
a lot of
that's why all this crying and mourning is still happening, because these people are never going to be over these people.
And you know what?
I was with him for 43 years. That's forever.
So there's a couple of notes that I want to talk about specific people that are remaining. So not April, Nancy tapped out. She's like, Gary, can I speak with you for a moment? And it was before the rose ceremony. And
Yes.
she's like, and she goes, I don't think that there is a connection between us. And he goes, I'm not going to dispute that. And it was the most
Honest.
real
Yeah.
I've ever heard the man speak. They clearly legit did not like each other.
Did they not like each other? They just had no chemistry.
I don't think they liked each other. He's like, I'm not going to dispute that. And it was
Yeah.
kind of something that I would say to somebody who's giving me some crap.
Yeah, maybe.
And so she goes, all right, peace out. And he didn't even walk her out. She just left. She just left. He walked April out. Oh, no, he walked Kathy out.
Yeah.
When he didn't give her a rose. But anyway, I'm like, dang, I don't know what happened there. It was very
Do they do reunions on these shows? Were they?
Sometimes they do.
Oh, because
yes.
that would be interesting to hear.
I hope they do.
There's any
Although,
tea.
only because there's so little drama that
I wonder if
there's-
any of them will die before the reunion.
I don't know. So now, and then of course,
Well,
April,
we lost Jeannie and Kathy, unfortunately,
their families
before the filming of this episode.
send their families our love.
That is so mean. Oh my
So
God, that's
April didn't get a rose, and
Good.
Kathy didn't get a rose.
I was tired of both of them. They needed to go.
April kind of shrunk. Nothing ever happened with her.
Nothing ever happened with her. But I told you from the very beginning, I'm like, she is not going to be the one.
Is she the one that quote unquote fell on the pickleball court?
Yes.
And she's like, I fractured my ankle, but
Yes.
I'm fine. And I'm like, okay. So now we're really reaching.
well,
Oh no!
I feel like
my
they're
ankle.
embracing the oldness when it suits them.
I don't like that.
I don't
and so
either.
anyway, although I will say,
But real old people fucking do that because we've seen them do it in grocery stores. Or
Of
in public
course.
places where they're suddenly like the most ancient thing on the planet and they're feeble and like,
and then they get in their car and they're
I
like,
have to be in front because I'm me. And then all of a sudden you see them go skipping out to
I
their
will
Mercedes.
say this: I was mad impressed with every single one of those women playing pickleball.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was
Like,
actually a fun little segment
I
of the show.
loved it.
I liked it.
I thought it was great. And they're like, "Oh, I am a badass." I mean, they were like, "I play pickleball." Blah blah blah.
They all
Like they were
did.
really into it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I had no idea. This is amazing. And he's like, "This is a big part of my life.
Yeah.
You have to be able to be on board with this."
Remember, that was in the beginning of the show when the very first
Yeah.
episode, they were all like talking about pickleball,
Yes.
and in the trailer they talked about it, and because it was obviously a thing for Gary.
Yes, and it's very popular in LA right now. So all the celebs are doing it. So that along
like-
with their Ozempic.
What I was about to say, yeah, I was going to say the
So anyway,
physically challenged version of tennis.
so the only drama of the series is the Kathy Teresa crap, and
now
so
that's
they
over.
once again honed in on it. They probably said, Teresa, we need you to try to smooth things out with Kathy again. And she's like, I'm okay. So she goes up to Kathy. Kathy, I just want to make sure that we're all
and we were all thinking the same thing, like no one would do this. We'd
And
be like,
Kathy's
"Fuck you,
like,
Kathy,
you know what? How many times do I have to tell you, Teresa? Are you an idiot?
yeah." She's so
she
mean.
seems a little vacant-eyed, but that's okay. You know,
she's gone now.
No, not Kathy. Teresa.
Oh, Teresa?
Teresa seems like
she's
there's
not the
much,
one.
There's not much there. No.
She's not the one, and I don't even know why they're trying to lead us down this path.
He kept her because he
Whatever.
was getting rid of Kathy. They needed the drama.
Well, I don't know that he's necessarily completely done with her, necessarily. But
No, not yet. But the other thing is,
she ain't it.
the online opinions of the viewership is that Ellen is the one for him.
I think it's either Faith or Leslie.
I think it's Faith, but I also Leslie is from Minneapolis. This is a woman. She's been very open. They did a one-on-one date on this episode, and she's been very open with her baggage.
Yeah.
She's like, I have a bad picker.
Yeah.
I need, she said this multiple times. I need to know that they have my back. And I'm like, I hate that verbiage.
Yeah.
I really am not a fan of that, because basically what that means to me is that the second somebody does anything, they suddenly don't have your back and you're a drama queen about it.
Yeah, maybe.
She's like, I've been divorced for 22 years.
You said something about her a couple of episodes ago about her being a drama queen. Was she the one that was pouting about?
Yes. She pouts easily. She pouts about not getting the right
so
outfit.
you could be right. You could be right. So it could be, I definitely think.
I think it's Faith.
I think it's going to be Faith, and conveniently she's the youngest one.
I know.
But
she's
okay.
she's so breezy, easy breezy.
She is, and for whatever reason,
like
they have a physical connection. They
very
want
much.
Screw. Yeah,
and they had a physical connection night one.
They did.
She's the one that whipped out the guitar and started singing to him. But his eyes changed, and I've only seen my husband do that to me. I've never, and so I'm like, oh, there's something like really there for him.
they got something going on. So it'll be interesting to see coming up, because now, as I understand it, how many are left?
Well, that's
4.
Well, so right now, officially remaining is
6.
Faith, Leslie, Ellen, Teresa, Susan, who I'm obsessed with, and Sandra, ? Because they were playing a game. The women were playing a game, Never Have I Ever.
Yes.
And they were eating ice cream.
And she got sick.
Sandra's like, I don't know why I'm eating this ice cream. I'm lactose intolerant. And then the next thing you see, she's laying in her bunk bed. She has taken to the bed. She looks like she's dying. And
is that going to be her way out?
Well, she wasn't at the rose ceremony, and she never got a rose.
Oh, that's true.
So did she just go home?
You're right.
So did she just go home?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
it's not a foregone conclusion. If he hadn't given her a rose while she's dying in bed, then she didn't get a rose. Okay. So I'm wondering if she tapped out. I don't know.
Or maybe who knows? Maybe she was like, I'm too sick to go to the rose ceremony tonight, and whatever happens.
Do you have to? Well, I just don't understand. I just don't know. But
maybe if she had been there, she wouldn't have gotten one anyway. So,
yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know. So anyway, with that being said,
we'll find out, I guess, next episode.
People were giving her, there was a strong opinion about the fact that she missed her daughter's wedding.
Yeah, but I didn't get the sense that it was like her first wedding necessarily.
Well, and everybody's like, okay, but first of all, Sandra's 75. I'm betting her daughter is in her 50s.
Yeah, thank you.
This is probably, if this is not wedding 2, it could be wedding 3. Like,
whatever.
If this was her
it's not like, oh,
marriage,
my 25-year-old's getting married and we're having this huge wedding. No.
It's so dumb. But but they needed a storyline.
They did.
So they're like, oh, let's FaceTime your daughter.
Let's show what the sacrifices and how desperate these women are to find love.
I just am so it's just the viewership is so different than the normal bachelorette audience. So to read opinions from women who have never watched The Bachelor before,
right?
They are taking every bait, hook, line, and sinker. They believe everything that's being given to them. And you know what? That's kind of what ABC wants.
And you know what? And
they want that.
I'm really okay with that, because what if these people haven't watched something that has thrilled them in this way in so long, and they're living for it now? And I'm like, good. You know what? That's one of the magic things about TV and entertainment.
I'm not a big fan of them trying to school me.
Well,
of course.
Yeah,
that is offensive.
We're 50. We're not 70.
We're not in our 70s, and they're just like, well, all I know is that none of these women in their 60s want to be with an old man who, especially if they're widows, because they're just going to have to say goodbye to another man because he's so much older than them. And I'm like, okay, first of all, 71 is not what it used to be.
No.
For starters.
It isn't.
So let's stop acting like, I wouldn't marry a 71-year-old if I was 60,
Well,
but that's not me. I would also not be on The Bachelor. So
I might.
I would not.
I guess it just depends on where I was in my life, but for me, I wouldn't take it seriously. Like I'm really coming on here to find love. I would come on here and be like, hey, I'm going to be on The Bachelor.
You guys have a TikTok account.
Yeah. And I think that's most of these women. Right.
So I guess we'll find out if Sandra is or is not on the show. Also,
I'm guessing she's not.
I really hope. I mean, I don't know how much longer, but I am obsessed with Susan. I've said it every week. I still maintain my obsession of Susan.
She's great.
She was given a little pink quartz.
That was sweet.
Because he said that
she was strong.
Well, and her just big personality and her, she shows everybody positivity and love.
Her energy, yeah.
And he said, you remind me of my wife, which usually is a kiss of death, but he likes her and he gave her something to make her feel like, I know we haven't had a lot of one-on-one time. And as expected, I don't know if you recall me telling you this, Susan ate his face. Literally opened her mouth and just swallowed his mouth. Yeah. Swallowed his face. And then I was like, he kissed every single woman before the rose ceremony. And I was like, that's so disgusting. I'm like, I hope he had baby wipes. Like, I hope he washed his face.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
In between every woman. Did he have like a magic wipe where he's just like,
so
cleaned it?
If there's
swished his mouth with scope or something before he kissed another lady? Because that's gross.
That is gross. Okay, so let's assume that Sandra's not there. Let's just assume there's 5.
Okay, so we have
And in the trailer for the future episode, he said, it's hard to believe that the next time I'm here, I'm going to be meeting their families.
Right.
I thought that was the 3.
Yes.
But
that might just be future. Or this next one. Sometimes what'll happen is he'll eliminate 2. They'll be the top 3.
And then the rest of the episode
they do a couple things. They will, there'll be 3. He will go and visit their families in each hometown.
Right.
And then they will all go to a destination resort. So they'll go to either like Bali or Mexico or Bahamas or something where it's really romantic.
And they have not peeped a word about where that might be.
They never do. They
hush-hush.
announce it on the show.
Can you imagine how hard it would be if you were one of these people, one of the cast, and you're watching the season play out and you know what happens?
Yeah. Well, like when Kathy was giving Teresa the business, everybody who watches the show was just outraged at Kathy. And they're like, Teresa, we stand behind you. It's very serious. So Teresa takes to Instagram and says, I just want to say thank you to all of the people with the kind words. I appreciate it. I never intended to harm or hurt anyone, et cetera, et cetera. It was like this big, long statement. And I'm like, well, I mean, you know what? This is the thing that gets people. This is her moment. Yeah. And this is the thing that gets people going, you know? The only beef that I have with Ellen talking about the women that are remaining is she's really throwing it on heavy when she gets time with him. She's like, Gary, I'm falling in love with you.
I know.
And I'm
much.
like, and for like the scenes for next week, she says it again. And I'm like, this is a little thick.
Yeah.
You're laying it on thick. And Gary's like so overwhelmed with this whole process. Like he can't even drive a damn car.
Yeah.
Like he's very overwhelmed. And Teresa keeps making, or not Teresa, but Leslie keeps making him dance. Like it's a thing.
We talked about
this
that
poor
last
man,
time. Stop making him dance. The man can't dance. He's white. He cannot do it.
Do you know, I did a little deep dive on Leslie because I was curious about her after she's like, I have a bad picker and all this shit. Well, she was married to a very famous French chef, which I did not know. And that's where her children come from. And she has 3 grandkids, stuff like that. Her whole life's in Minneapolis. She's always been in Minneapolis. She was actually like an aerobics champion in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
Like, remember when they had competitions for aerobics?
Vaguely, okay.
Well, we were 10. Yeah. We were very young.
Well, Jane Fonda had a lot to do with all of that.
But there were championships where you would basically do aerobics and people would win. Well, she won a lot. She was a dancer, and she's still a dancer, actually. That's what she does. She works for a gym or whatever. Mm-hmm. She claims that she dated Prince.
I saw that.
And that the song Sexy Dancer is about her. And people are like, I don't think so. But people who live in Minneapolis go, actually, it absolutely could have been true because Minneapolis isn't that big and Prince was everywhere. He lived there. He was out grocery shop. Like
he lived in Minneapolis? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yes. And so he never moved from Minneapolis. He always lived there, even when he died.
I don't know.
So it's a very real possibility. I mean, if you've seen photos of her in the 80s, and The Sexy Dancer is like on his first album.
I don't know that the network would even let her come on there and say something like that if it weren't true. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, we're not going to let you go on here and like lie.
But a lot of people claim that it's true.
Yeah.
That because Minneapolis isn't that big.
I did not believe it when she said it.
I didn't even hear her say it.
I was like, there's no I heard her say it, but I was like, there's no reason for me to think that's not true.
Right.
Prince was in his 60s when he died.
Well, not only that, but I mean, when that album came out, he made that album when he was 18.
Yeah. So it was forever ago.
It absolutely could have happened.
Yeah. And we also know that Prince did get a lot of inspiration from women that he worked with, danced with, was in relationships with, whether they were lovers or actual girlfriends or whatever. I mean, he wrote a song for Suzanne Hoffs that we all love. And
anyway, so I think there will only be 8 episodes of The Golden Bachelor, and we're on episode 4.
The next one will be 5, right?
Yes. So I think that this is going to wind out really quickly. What will be interesting is if anybody else taps out at this point.
Well, it's been interesting how many have tapped out, because that doesn't happen a lot.
A lot of women are saying it's because if there's anything that we're not hearing about, political, geography, personality, that they just go, ooh, you know, they're like, I'm out.
What's the point? Yeah.
And I do appreciate that. It would be nice if that happened on the other shows, but it never does.
I know, because they're hanging, because like you said,
they want their following.
They're there for another reason.
Where these women are like, I give no craps about Instagram. So anyway, all right. Well, do you have any predictions? Who do you think will go home?
Honestly, I'm still pretty convinced it's going to be Leslie or Faith. After you talked about Leslie being kind of a whiner, and maybe a little, and I don't like broken women necessarily. It's like, okay, so this is your 5th relationship, and I'm the one that's going to fix you. No, especially at our age, at these ages. So I think, honestly, I think Faith is the silent horse for a reason.
Absolutely. I've always said that.
I think he knows already, like, she's probably the one I'm going to pick.
A top one, yeah.
So I'm not going to focus so much on her. I'm going to give these other women their chance. Their 15 minutes.
Exactly. And he's got to root them out, you know?
And because, like we talked about, the people who are following the show, who are, like, falling for all of the things that the producers want you to fall for. They're living for all of this.
They're going to be devastated.
They truly think... They truly think these other women have a chance.
It'll be interesting. And you know what? I hope I'm wrong. I
would love being wrong.
I hope he walks down into the sunset with Susan. I will be like, yes, Susan. I will say this, though. Susan is way too much woman for Gary.
You said that last episode.
Too much.
She is.
She's love her, though.
Lovely. And you know what? Here's the thing. I think every one of these women will probably get something out of this show.
Hope so.
They'll get suitors. They'll get people writing saying, I want to date you. I'm this, I'm that. You know?
I mean, we're super critical, but the reality is that I love all these women. I love that they did this. I actually even
love Kathy.
I love the ones that went, no, goodbye.
Yeah.
I love it because that would be me. Right. I would have been Marina, by the way. I would have been standing there at 4 a.m. and him picking me going, will you take this rosemary? Like, yeah, sure. And then I'd go like, fuck this. I am out. This is leaving. Awful. Yeah. I am not doing this.
I'm not begging for this man's attention. This white man that's like a scarecrow.
And what I found out is that they never find out who he is until they get there.
Oh, so they don't know.
They have no idea
anything about the Bachelor.
No. Oh, and I was like, well, that would root out a lot of people, I would think. And they're like, well, I'll stick it out just because I made the effort. But frankly, I just don't care. Marina's like, I literally don't care. Yeah, I am leaving.
Bye.
And she didn't even say goodbye. She left in the dark of night. They're like, by the way, you're probably wondering where Marina is. She's back in New York
or wherever.
Like, she literally took a plane out of here.
Good for you, Marina.
Made me laugh. Anyway, all right. Well, until next time, we will. I can't wait to see what happens.